thanks for being here. We're so pleased with how many of you were able to come tonight. My name is Ryan Swanson, and I, along with Lindy Zamborski and Chrissy Morton, we are the three counselors for Stillwater High School. And so we just wanted to take this time tonight to share with you a little bit about Concurrent, give time for you to be able to ask questions. Like Mr. Howe said, Concurrent is a wonderful opportunity that we are excited to be able to share with our students. We do have some changes this year, some additional opportunities that we wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of, and so we just thought the best way would be to gather everyone together and just present the information, and then, like I said, be available for questions. I'm not used to being on a stage, so the lights are a little weird, but we are going to, back in the sound booth, they are helping us run this slideshow, and so we're going to give a thumbs up whenever we are ready to advance, and so I just wanted you guys to know kind of why the weird hand movement. So that's what that is all about. But like I said, we just want to share information about concurrent enrollment. It's a wonderful opportunity, but we want to make sure that you have the information that you need to make sure that it's the right opportunity for you or your student, and when that opportunity is best, like is now the time. So again, we're just going to go through some information. Everything that we are going to talk about tonight, like Mr. Howe said, is going to be available in the video that he sends out, but also this whole presentation is available on our SHS counseling website, and so you can refer back to this information at either one of those places. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about why concurrent enrollment is a good option for high school students. But we're also going to talk about things to consider, like, again, it's a great opportunity, but you want to make sure that it's the right opportunity for your student and your situation. We're going to talk a little bit about what the admission requirements are. It is something that you have to apply for, what that application process is, how that can be used for high school credit, what the costs are, and then how it impacts your schedule at the high school. So I'm going to kind of do a quick overview of, again, the application process and how it pertains to your high school schedule, and then we have some of our partners from OSU and NOC that are here to present specific information about their organization, and then we have a new partner this year, OU, University of Oklahoma, and Ms. Zamborski is going to talk a little bit about that new opportunity. Okay, so why concurrent enrollment? Couple of things, as you can see up there, it just gets your kids started on the college track, okay? So oftentimes what we see is that if they have taken a concurrent class or multiple concurrent classes, their likelihood of going on to college increases. It just, you know, when we know what to expect with something, we're more likely to do it. And so oftentimes when students can kind of dip their toe in the water with a class while they're in high school, it's a little bit of a safer experience sometimes. But they know what to expect. They know what to expect from a college level course, kind of how to keep on track with those types of things. And so again, it increases their likelihood of going to college, and it also increases their performance in their college freshman level coursework. Again, they're familiar with what the expectations are. They have kind of been able to sort through what's it going to take from me. And so, again, research shows that students that participate in concurrent, once they transition to full-time freshmen in college, they tend to be more successful. Again, they know what they're getting into. So it also increases the college graduation rates. So a lot of that is because they're successful, but also they've got a head start. And so, you know, oftentimes our students will be able to begin college with a semester of courses behind them. And so they are not having to invest as much time and money in their college education as some of the students who are just starting from the beginning when they go to college. So again, it tends to increase their graduation rates. Like I just said, it increases or decreases their cost. Concurrent enrollment in some situations is at no cost to the family, but it's always at a reduced cost than what you would pay as a freshman fully enrolled in college. So it definitely can lower your overall cost of a college education. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So again, we've already established concurrent enrollment is a great opportunity, but you want to make sure that it's right for your student and it's the right time for your student. So a couple of things to consider, and we are especially going to talk about this because up until the last 2 years, concurrent enrollment has really been something that's been most widely available to high school seniors. With some changes in what the state offers as far as tuition reimbursement, that has now become much more widely available for juniors. And so, you know, there's a difference between a junior student and a senior student, just in maturity and all those types of things. And so that's really why we want to talk about these things to consider, because we want concurrent for all your students, but we want it to be the right fit. So, something to talk with your student about is these courses are college level courses, okay? They are taught above and beyond high school course expectations. So that's something that they're certainly capable of being prepared for, but they need to be successful in, but they need to be prepared for it. And so talking to them a little bit about be ready for increased expectations. Be ready to spend more time on your concurrent courses than maybe what you're used to spending on your high school courses. Again, it's a great opportunity, but we always like students to know what they're walking into to increase their chances of success. Another thing that you'll hear about tonight is that many of the concurrent courses that are available are online. They're virtual courses. You know, that's something that over the last few years students have gotten a lot more familiar with, ready for, successful in, but you still need to kind of think through with your student, am I successful in online classes? Is that really the right platform for me? Do I think that I can be disciplined enough to stay caught up with that class when I don't have a teacher standing in front of me? If the answer is yes, great. Online courses are a wonderful opportunity. If the answer is no, that's fine. Just be honest with yourself and really only consider those in-person options as opposed to those online classes. One of the things that we try to encourage students to do, especially juniors, is your first attempt at concurrent enrollment, really think about that in-person class instead of an online class. Again, just so you have that teacher interaction and they can help you be successful. Once you've been successful in that, then maybe as a senior, those online courses might be a better fit for you. Again, that is an individual decision. You know, some students are going to be successful no matter what type of class you enroll them in. That's great. But just being honest with yourself about what works for me, this is an opportunity that you really need to take for asking yourself those questions. And the other thing to consider is that when you are in a concurrent class, you are enrolled at OSU, NOC, OU. You're following their class schedule. It may not necessarily match Stillwater High School's schedule. So for instance, when we have fall break in October, OSU and NOC are not out for fall break. And so students may have to still attend class if they have a class that's scheduled to meet those days. So those are just things, again, they're completely doable, but just being prepared for them is important. Another thing to consider is that, you know, we have school activities, kids have school activity absences all the time, and that works for high school. It doesn't necessarily always work for concurrent. In a concurrent class, if you're not there, you're just not there. It doesn't matter whether you were sick or at a school activity. So missing those classes, you know, if you're in a sport or organization that requires you to be absent a lot, that's something to consider. You know, sometimes, like I'll use golf as an example. We have students who may choose to do concurrent in the fall only because golf takes them out of school often in the spring, and they may not feel as comfortable with being able to stay caught up in their concurrent class in the spring. So they focus on those fall courses. Again, an individual decision, but it's just something to consider when you're trying to decide if this is right for you. This one is the most important thing we can say, communication. The students have got to be responsible for communicating not only with the high school, but then also with whatever school they're enrolling in, OSU, OU, NOC. We know students don't prefer it, but we all still communicate a lot through email. And so checking their school email, they will have an OSU or an NOC email. They've got to check that email. And the other thing to consider is those colleges and universities, they don't communicate with parents. They treat concurrent students as college students. And so their only communication is coming to the student. And so having an agreement set up with your student ahead of time about, okay, checking your email and then communicating with me what you receive or forwarding it to me or whatever the case may be, but that professor is going to be expecting that the student is communicating with them. They don't talk to parents. So again, it's a college level course in curriculum and it's a college level course in expectations. And so you want to make sure that your student is, number one, capable and willing of communicating with that professor, and also that they will follow through and just be responsible for that. Because again, lack of communication is oftentimes what we see as the biggest downfall for students. They say they didn't know. Well, in reality, they may not have known because they are not checking their communication with their professor. So that is something that we just preach over and over and over again. Don't let that be why you're not successful in a class. Okay. Admission requirements, again, I'm going to kind of show you that this is available on our website. The representatives from the colleges and universities are going to talk about that a little bit more, but just to highlight that there are admission requirements. Students, if they're interested in concurrent, that is a separate application. That is something that they will apply specifically through the school, either NOC, OSU, or OU. They will submit an application to those organizations, and then they will receive an acceptance or a denial. And that is just, that process has to be completed by the student. We cannot apply to OSU for a student. That has to be something that they follow through with. And again, they're going to go over those specifics about what those requirements are a lot more in detail. But when you refer back to this presentation, you can just see that that information is listed there. Again, this slide is something that I won't go over in detail, but this is the specific application process for each of these schools. And again, they'll talk a little bit more about that specifically. But I do want to point out that one of the things that you will see within each of these processes is the SHS Concurrent Enrollment Agreement. That is something that is not, that's a Stillwater High School form. And that's really kind of the only piece that they do with us. But essentially, that's going to be available on our website. It's linked right here. So this will be a live link if you were to look at it on our website. But essentially, it's just going over some of the things that we're talking about tonight. We're asking you and the student to review those things to consider once again. And again, make sure that it's a right fit for you. And then that is what we will actually ask them to complete to indicate to us which course they plan to take for concurrent. They obviously can change their mind. They'll have an academic advisor through the school that they're going with, and so that could change. But just for planning purposes, it helps us to know, okay, how many students are planning on taking the history course, how many students are planning on taking Comp 1 and Comp 2. So again, that's just a planning tool for us. So that SHS Concurrent Enrollment Agreement will be something that we ask you to complete as part of that application process. And again, our partners will go over those processes a lot more. Okay, so meeting graduation requirements. One of the things, especially for juniors, that's helpful to know is, can I trade a concurrent class for a high school graduation requirement? Okay, like I said, especially juniors, they still have a lot of those required classes that they're trying to work towards completing. And so being able to trade out one requirement for another helps them have a little bit more flexibility. These are some of the common ones that are listed here. We have a lot of juniors, not a lot, but we do have juniors that will choose to take American history through concurrent enrollment, which will take the place of their American history that's required for juniors here at the high school. So they can transfer out that credit. It's just kind of one for one. The other one that's really popular or gaining more popularity for our seniors In place of English 4, you can take Comp 1 and Comp 2, but both courses are required to meet English 4 requirements. So you are taking 2 college courses for the equivalent of 1 high school course. So it's certainly a good opportunity for some students, but just as far as your schedule goes, and if you only have like 1 semester to commit to concurrent enrollment, that's something to kind of consider, that both of those classes are required for English 4. So some of the other college common ones are listed there. And then, you know, everything is kind of a unique situation. So if you have a specific class that you're wanting to take and you're curious as to whether you can use it for anything for high school, come and talk to your counselor about that. We're happy to talk about individual circumstances. We just wanted to list some of those standard ones on this presentation. Okay, so the other thing to consider is that when you enroll in concurrent, you are building not only continuing to build your high school transcript, but you're beginning your college transcript. So something to think about is that we are required by the state of Oklahoma, every concurrent class that a student attempts, we have to place on their high school their high school transcript also, okay? So we can't choose, oh, I didn't do as well in that class as I wanted to, I don't want that on my high school transcript. We can't do that. We have to list every class, and they are figured into your high school GPA, okay? So that is just, again, something to consider. College courses are also not worth weighted credit, okay? They are worth standard 4-point credit, just like a standard class at the high school. So that's something to consider. And then as far as your college transcript, you want to start strong, okay? You want to go into college with not trying to recover your GPA. So it's just something, again, to be mindful of. Most of the time, students are very, very successful in concurrent enrollment. Sometimes there are situations where students are not successful. That could be for a number of reasons. Often it's because they've kind of let classes get away from them and maybe they just can't get caught up. But that impacts them when they do enroll in college full-time. You know, again, they're trying to recover a GPA from maybe a poor choice when they were in high school. And that's kind of a hard road. So that's, again, why we kind of preach this so much. The other thing to consider is that in order to continue in concurrent enrollment from one semester to the next, a student has to have a minimum of a 2.0. If they get below a 2.0 grade point average at the college level, they're no longer eligible for concurrent enrollment. So they would not be eligible, say they're a junior and their GPA drops below a 2.0. As a senior, they would not be eligible to take concurrent enrollment again. So that's, again, just something to consider. Okay, again, our partners are going to talk a little bit more about this, but their concurrent enrollment, like we talked about, it's kind of varied as far as how much it costs. Some opportunities have little to no cost to the families. Others have a cost, but again, it's always going to be very reduced compared to what you're going to pay for these courses when you enroll as a full-time student. So again, we'll talk about this a little bit more specifically when our partners get up to present, but this information is available on our website, again, for you to refer back to. Okay, how does concurrent work in my schedule? So the benefit of Stillwater High School being on the block schedule is that it matches a college schedule. And so essentially the way that it works is that if you want to enroll in one concurrent class, then you get one release from Stillwater High School. So for instance, if you wanted to do a class that started at 8:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, you would request a concurrent release for first block. And then instead of coming to Stillwater High School for a class, you would be participating in your concurrent class, okay? So you can request up to 3 concurrent releases per semester. So that's 9 hours of college courses. For seniors, the state is going to pay a tuition waiver for you for up to 18 hours. And For juniors, it's up to 9 hours. So if you are a junior, we strongly encourage you not to take all of those 9 hours in one semester. Please spread it out. Start with one class, and if it goes really, really well in the fall and you want to add 2 classes in the spring, then that's something that, can be done. But just overall, there's some limits on what the state will provide that tuition waiver, so that's kind of a snapshot of that. The way that those tuition waivers work is that they begin in the summer. So for instance, if you are going to be a junior next year and you're thinking about taking concurrent, your 9 hours of eligibility would begin this summer. And so the summer, fall, and spring semesters would be your opportunity to take those 9 hours of junior concurrent enrollment. And the same with your senior year. Your eligibility begins in the summer before your senior year. So senior year, summer, fall, and spring is when you could work in those 18 hours if you chose to. Okay, what if I drop a concurrent course? Sometimes we have the best of intentions and things don't work out. For whatever reason, life happens. You know that you're not going to be successful in the course. We try to communicate with OSU if that's the situation and come up with an alternate plan for you. We want you to withdraw. We do not want you to fail that class. Again, that is your college transcript. So if you need to withdraw for whatever reason, there will be an official process through the college or university that you will want to follow. You can't just say to your counselor, I'm going to drop my concurrent class. We cannot drop that for you. You have to follow the official withdrawal process. And then you will communicate with your counselor to adjust your SHS schedule. By law, we have to have students fully enrolled. So if you were to drop a concurrent class, we would have to enroll you in a class at Stillwater High School. So that communication is very, very important so that we keep you at full-time status, because that, again, that's the law. So something to consider on this is that OSU professors do not reach out to us as school counselors or to the principal or to anyone at the high school and say, hey, Sally's not doing well in my class. We don't get that information. So again, that communication from the professor to the student, that is something that they have got to keep up with, so that if a problem arises, we're there to help problem solve, but the professor's not going to reach out to us directly. They communicate with the student only. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up my part of this. Just something that we want to really point out is that they're going to talk a lot about the enrollment process, and these applications are open, okay? This is something that if you know that you want to do this in the summer or fall of this next school year, the application is live. We want you to go ahead and get that process going, because it takes a little while. You have to be admitted, and then you have to get enrolled, and it's just kind of a process that can be extended. We want you to have the opportunity to get that finished before we wrap up this school year. So again, in order to ensure that that is an option for you, the sooner the better you can get started on that process is great. If you're not considering taking something until the spring, you will not have to do anything as far as the college or university goes until this fall when those applications open. But you can request it when you get ready to do your pre-enrollment with us next week. You will be able to request a spring release. You just won't apply to the college or university until next fall. One thing that we do ask, if you're going to take a fall class, we want all of those final schedules turned into your counselor by July 21st. Ideally, those are in our hands before we leave for summer break, but we know, again, things happen, and so if your enrollment is delayed for whatever reason, that's fine. We're still going to work with you, but July 21st is when we have to build your senior year schedule or junior year, and so we need to have your concurrent classes in our hand whenever we get ready to do that. So July 21st would allow us to do that. Okay? So the next one is just questions. What we're going to do is we're here to answer questions, but we're going to wait till afterwards so you can hear all the information. And then the 3 counselors will be here along with the reps from OSU and NOC, and we're happy to answer individual questions at that time. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off. Kristen, are you going first? Okay. Kristen Culling from OSU She is our partner. She does all concurrent enrollment. And so I'll let her talk a little bit about OSU, and then you can hear more about NOC.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I'm really excited. This is my favorite topic, concurrent enrollment. I have one student that has successfully gotten through concurrent classes and is now in college and enjoying the fruits of those labors. And I have a concurrent student right now at Stillwater High School. So I am the coordinator for OSU. So my office is where you will come if you have any questions. I also do the advising for your students to help them choose the courses for concurrent.
And my name is Cassie Firth. I'm actually the math department chair and an instructor at NOC. I'm filling in for our person who typically does this, but and I can get you her contact information later if you need that. But basically going through the same information, filling out application online. I've got the paper you need to turn in should you want to go through our process if you have questions.
Okay, and since I'm with OSU, I'm going to do a Go Pokes for my next slide instead of a thumbs up. Okay, so when you choose concurrent enrollment, and Ms. Swanson kind of went over some of these, there is an academic advantage. One of the ones that I'd like you to consider that's kind of different is that when your student goes ahead and earns some of those credits, they're able to have room in their schedule when they get to college to possibly do an internship or a study abroad. So it's kind of giving you some flexibility in your schedule. For my son, his first semester, he was able to only take 13 hours to kind of get adjusted to college and all that good stuff, and he's doing great, so I highly recommend that. The cost savings, so at OSU, juniors get a tuition and fee waiver up to 9 hours for the classes at the high school and in the concurrent classes online. Seniors get 18 hours. So this is a huge cost savings. Now the classes are not, so tuition and fee waiver, so no cost for tuition, no cost for fees in those classes. Students are responsible for textbook charges, if there's any proctoring fees, which there's only a couple classes that have those, or any course materials. So it is a huge cost savings. We're going to build up some skills for college and also get ready. So one of the things I'm hoping on top of what Ms. Swanson said is build their confidence so that they know they'll be successful once they go to college.
As far as NOC goes with the tuition, you obviously get the tuition covered through the state. We do have fees that you have to pay. I think roughly, my son took a class last year with us, and it's roughly around $300 for a 3-credit-hour class, maybe a little bit more than that. You will have to pay books or any kind of online material type stuff on top of that, should there be anything associated with that class. And like she said, saving the time, small class sizes on many of the cases with a lot of these introductory classes, at least at NOC, I know that is the case. We don't have anything here at Stillwater per se, but we do have in-person classes, we have the online classes, and we have Zoom classes, which we call online live, and so they would be meeting over Zoom with an instructor at a particular time, but just not in the classroom with them necessarily.
Okay, so the first step is to apply. It's very important that students choose the concurrent application. So at OSU, you will pay the application fee one time, but you do have to apply each semester that you want to take concurrent classes. So if you're interested in taking a summer class and a fall class, you would fill out 2 applications, but you'd only pay the application fee one time. Each semester, your students will meet with me to help do advising and choosing their classes. I highly recommend that your student fill out their application because they're the college student, and it's a good way to get them responsible for their own degree, because that's what we're doing. We're building coursework towards hopefully graduating and getting a degree. So Counselor and parent approvals are required each semester that students want to do concurrent coursework. At OSU, we get that through the application. And it's all electronic, so your student is going to complete their application, hit the submit button, and then they're going to be prompted to enter email addresses for their counselor and for you. This is probably the biggest holdup on applications being approved, is email addresses getting typed in incorrectly. So, just a little tip, double check your spelling, make sure you spell Gmail right. Also, your high school transcript for your application needs to come from Stillwater High School. You cannot email it to OSU, that's not accepted. But on the counselor webpage, they have this great Google form, and you just fill it out and say that you would like it sent to OSU at our admissions email, and then it will be, the high school counseling office will take care of all of that for you.
I believe we have much similar processes, it sounds like. So we do have an online application that you do have to fill out first. After 24 hours, everything should go through in the system, and then you will be able to come in and turn in your paperwork and things like that with your transcripts, with your ACT scores, with the concurrent enrollment form that has to be signed through the counselors and all of that here. So you'll bring all that, and then Cheryl Nelson is our contact in Stillwater, and she will help you get classes based on which block you're looking at, and we go from there in the enrollment.
All right. Okay, so we have OSU faculty that come to Stillwater High School and teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the presentation room. We offer our classes. We have psychology, first block, history. This is the fall schedule. So psychology, history, creative writing, and speech communication. Psychology and speech are both social science credits, and creative writing is a humanities credit. So those are general education attributes that will apply towards your college degree. The students are usually the most excited that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you are off during that block. Now you're off during that block, so you have extra time to study for your courses. My daughter thought it was to go to Starbucks, but get your work done, you know, it's all good. If you want to read more about the individual class descriptions, you can go to catalog.okstate.edu, and then every class will have a description of what it entails.
Basically, our classes are going to be at NOC, and what we have offering is going to vary semester to semester. We typically offer most of what they mentioned earlier with the Comp 1, Comp 2, history, government, and some various humanities courses, science courses, whatever will fit the schedule and what you guys can work with. So we have a lot of offerings, just depending on the time, what will work with you.
All right. Okay, so for the classes at the high school and the classes in the Cowboy Concurrent Online program, so all of these courses and those courses, the tuition and fees are waived. 9 hours for juniors, up to 18 hours for seniors. Our online classes are asynchronous, so there's not any certain time that you absolutely have to be on your computer, but your student is going to have assignments due each week. And so time management is really the key to success for your online class. Let's see. So American Government is required for all majors. Everyone has to take Comp 1 and 2, but Ms. Swanson kind of went over those. The history class is the same credit as the one taught at the high school. I've got 4 social science classes, sociology, and then a journalism class, media and a diverse society. We have 1 humanities, philosophies of life, college algebra. If your student wants to take college algebra and they have achieved a math ACT score of 24 or higher, they would not have to take the math placement test. If they do not have that, they would have to take the math placement test, but you can take it from home online if you want to, as long as you have a webcam, because it is a proctored exam, or you can go to the testing center and take that math placement test. And you do have to score a 40 or higher to get into the college algebra class. That's just one more little step to get into college algebra. We do offer 4 science classes now. We have a textile science class, physics, the solar system, and principles of human nutrition, which is new this year and has been very popular. I've got 2 engineering classes that you can take. If your student is interested in majoring in engineering and takes both of these classes, achieves a B or better, and comes to OSU and majors in engineering, they'll get a $1,000 scholarship. So that's something else that's new that we're excited about. Do you have anything for online or just online?
I mean, we don't have anything. We have
Okay.
regular online.
Okay.
Just all the others.
All right. So, one more option. Your students can also come on the OSU campus and take a class. It needs to be a lower level class. Your student will get a tuition waiver, but they will pay the fees for their class. For a typical 3-hour class, it's about $425. Your student would also most likely need a parking pass that you would have to buy. So there's just a few more things to consider coming on campus. Also, the scheduling does not match exactly with the high school. Normally what happens is you find your perfect class, you're super excited, and then there's a 5-minute window to get either from the high school to OSU or back, and that's not enough time. So we can do it. Lots of students come on the campus and have a great experience. It's really fun. It just takes a little more searching, I guess.
I don't really have a whole lot to add, I don't think. Basically, if they're going to come to our site, we're at the OSU campus, basically. We're at just north of the North Monroe parking garage. So same thing with parking. They would have to have some kind of parking permit or find some place that doesn't get patrolled by OSU. And then the scheduling, of course, is the deal. My son, I think, ended up taking a 12:30 class to make it work through the lunch hour time and then got back before the 4th block. So scheduling is definitely the situation you got to work with there.
There is nowhere that OSU does not monitor the parking. So, okay, we can go to the next one. All right, so our resources for our students, probably the number one is the help desk. So this is our friends that help us when we can't log into our classes or we can't check our email or something like that. You need to call the help desk, talk to a person. They can usually solve your problem over the phone. They work until like 11 or 12 at night. You can also send them an email if you want to. But it's just a great resource. Also, as a student, if your computer breaks, you can take it to the IT help desk. They actually do. That's one of your included benefits for being an OSU student, which is pretty cool. Math students can go to the Math Learning Success Center and get tutoring anytime. We have the Writing Center for our comp students, or really any class that you need to write a paper. Students can come on campus and meet with a tutor. You can have a Zoom meeting with a tutor if you want, or you can just email them your work and they'll give you feedback on it. So you don't even have to have a meeting with anybody, but you can still get some help with your writing assignments. We use Canvas at OSU, which now Stillwater High School also uses Canvas, so that's been a big help. But I have a whole bunch of resource videos that OSU has created for students. They're just 1 and 2 minute videos, so if you just have a question about how to work your Canvas or anything like that, you can reach out to me and I'm happy to share those resources. Oh, and the fun one, the pool and the gym and the Colvin Center. So since you have access to everything on campus, just like a regular undergraduate student, and that includes the pool, which will open in April. You do have to be a student, and so if you're not taking a summer school class, you wouldn't get the benefit of the pool. But if you are, that's a benefit of the pool. And it is open through September, so for fall students, you can still take advantage of that. But you will have access to the Colvin Center, the library, all that good stuff, and tutoring services. So we have our LASSO, our Learning and Student Success Organization. So if you need help in any of your classes, it doesn't matter which one, they will get a tutor to help you with your course.
So for NOC, we have actually access to a lot of the OSU resources as well, being part of the Gateway program there. So they do have access to the tutoring over there as well. And we also have online tutoring through tutor.com. We use Blackboard, so it's set up in our Blackboard through our courses. And so they can get 24/7 help. So when they're working on their homework really late at night and no one else is available, they have access to that. And then we also have some Zoom tutoring as well. Like she had mentioned, we have some that are on our different campuses that can help students through Zoom tutoring options as well. I think that was all as well. She mentioned that they use Canvas, and then we use Blackboard. It's similar, but it's a little slight change compared to the two, but very similar in access.
Ms. Swanson kind of covered a lot of these, but they're so good. Let's do them again. Time management. Really, this is the key to success in your concurrent class. Most of the time when students get into trouble, it's not that the material is too hard, it's that they've procrastinated and they're overwhelmed. So really committing, you're getting that block off from your high school schedule to work on your concurrent class. So you can utilize the library at the high school. You can do your off period and just go get your work done. I mean, you can do it wherever you want, but you need to be committed to getting your work done. It is every week. And my advice to students is always to get it done early in the week, because you never know when you're going to get sick. You never know when something fun's going to come up and you don't want to do your homework. So if you just build those good habits, Monday and Tuesday, those blocks you get off from the high school to work on your concurrent class, you'll be successful and make a good grade, and you'll enjoy that time off later in the week. Students must check their OSU email every single day. Add it to your phone, bookmark it on your computer. I know you get a lot. You will get a lot of emails. I wish I could control that, but it is required. Check it every single day. Another thing to be mindful of is the academic calendar. So you got to know when you're in class. It does not follow the high school schedule. And also, if you need to take advantage of those withdrawal dates, be mindful of those. When you're in a class, it's your responsibility to also recognize if you are having trouble, to reach out to your instructors. Your instructors are there to help you be successful, and they want to hear from you. They want you to be not shy about asking for help if you don't understand something. So take advantage of that, and then I'm also a resource available to you. If you're having trouble in your classes, let me know.
So I'll throw the teacher's perspective out there on this, and I know they've hit on it, she's hit on it. Communication, communicate. I can't stress it enough. Email if something comes up, email if you're going to be gone, email if you have questions. Reach out and go find those instructors, go get the help that you need. They said check the email. That is really, really important, because as you know, we have snow days where you guys might have off days. Oftentimes some of ours will have Zoom days instead. So you might still have class, but you need to check your emails so that you know what kind of announcements are being made in that sense. And in general with your classes, you never know what's going to change. So sometimes they'll let you know through email as well. So That is the biggest thing, is just communicating and checking those emails so that you know what's going on and you're staying on top of things.
Okay. All right, the next steps. Have that conversation about, is concurrent right for you and your student? Always work with your high school counselor. They're your best resource. They know your student and know what your goals are and can help you guys make a great decision. If you decide to come to OSU, apply now. Choose the concurrent application. There will be a summer 2025 application, and there will be a concurrent summer 2025 application. You must choose the concurrent one, and fall 2, same thing. Always choose the concurrent. There will be an advisory meeting on March 12th. If you already know you are going to come to OSU and do concurrent classes, mark this date in your calendar. I will be coming to the high school and doing an advising meeting over the lunch hour. And you'll be getting more information from the counselors on that, but mark that date on your calendar. It is required. Students are not allowed to enroll until they've met with me. So, very important, March 12th. We're going to have a good time. It'll be great. And then registering for classes. So students, it is your responsibility to register your classes. At OSU, I create a registration plan for you, so you don't have to worry about selecting which section you're going to enroll in, to make sure you get in the correct one that's at the high school or in the Cowboy Concurrent program, and then you will register from that plan. If students go rogue and register incorrectly, they may be responsible for those registration fees and costs associated with the class. So, very important, come to the registration meeting on the 12th of March, and we'll get it all fixed up.
I don't have a whole lot to add on that. I know Cheryl Nelson will usually come up here to the one that they have, the meeting they have with the students, so she will also be able to answer your questions, but she will definitely be the one that you're going to communicate with and get enrolled with classes for us.
And then, this is just my contact information if you have any questions about anything. The class list and all that good stuff. Actually, not all the class list. The Stillwater High School classes I don't publish on the webpage, but all the online classes are at our webpage. So I think that's it.
My name is Lindy Zamborski, and I'm one of the other counselors here at the high school, and I'm going to talk a little bit about OU. They are a new partner with us starting this summer. Their application process is pretty similar to everybody else's. In fact, it looks almost exactly like OSU's. You're going to go in to their website and apply. And so you all got a sheet of paper when you walked in, and that has the 3 different ways to the 3 different universities that do concurrent enrollment. That form is linked on our website, and all of those are hyperlinks. And so if you click on it, you're going to go straight to OSU's application, or OU's, or NOC's, the concurrent agreement form, the transcript request. If you go on the website, you just need to click all those links, and it's going to take you exactly where you need to go. It's also going to take you to information on each university's concurrent website, where there's a plethora of information, more than we could ever cover in a day, about concurrent enrollment. So there's a lot of information online there as well. So we just wanted to print out a copy of that so you can have. On the screen for the admission requirements, OSU and OU are pretty similar. The assured admission requirements are to have a 24 on your ACT, that's a composite score of a 24, or be in the top third of your class. Right now, top third is probably running about a 3.7 to a 3.8 for each grade level. So if you are much below that and don't have a 24, you can still apply for concurrent enrollment, and they do have a holistic application process. And that holistic application process is up to OSU and OU. They don't tell us everything about that. That's their way of doing things. But they do want as many students as possible to be able to do concurrent enrollment. So they will look at holistically your application. NOC, the admission requirements are to have a 19 on your ACT composite score or a 3.0 unweighted GPA. All of them have to have the approvals filled out and all of that to say that we're okay with you doing concurrent. And that's really for them to know that you are going to meet your high school graduation requirements on time and that concurrent's not going to mess that up at all. If you could go to the application process, that would be great. Okay. Like I said, they're all online, the application. For OSU and OU, please, the first mistake students make is they don't click the right application. There are applications that say concurrent. So if you're doing summer 2025, you want to choose the one that says concurrent. There's going to be a summer 2025 that's just normal. Same for fall and all of that. That is one of the biggest holdups we see from the very beginning. The wrong application is chosen, and then the process completely stops at that point. So please make sure you're choosing the concurrent application. There's a $50 application fee for OSU. There is no application fee for OU and for NOC. You're going to submit for OSU that electronic concurrent approval where you put in the email addresses. Everyone spells my last name wrong. I don't get my approval forms typically. So just all of our names are on our website, so you can cut and paste the email address. So just do that to make sure you get the email address correct. All three schools are going to require a transcript. The transcript request form is online. That is the only way to request a transcript. We don't take requests over email, phone calls, or in person because this is the way we're tracking all the transcripts that we send out. Just put that you're doing concurrent enrollment, and we will know where to send those transcripts. NOC, you can email it to them. They will accept a transcript if it is in a sealed envelope with a signature on the back. If you open that envelope, your transcript is null and void. It has to be sealed and signed on the back. If you want to submit your ACT scores, you can. Some of you will be easily admissible with your ACT scores. That goes through your My ACT account. When you signed up to take it, or you will sign up to take it, you can choose 4 colleges to send your ACT scores to for free. And so if you've already chosen OSU or OU or NOC or anything like that, they're going to already have your scores. So you just need to make sure that they have your scores, or you're going to get them your scores. The other things about the application process is OU stressed that they're a little bit different. They're going to have in your application portal, you need to constantly check that and your personal email. And by the way, when you're signing up for concurrent, do not use your Stillwater High School email. Use your personal email because you're going to need to keep checking that. And then if you ever leave us and you don't have that email anymore, you won't get those emails. So please use your personal email for all of these applications and really anything you're applying for here on out. But OU said to please make sure you're checking your email in their application portal. That's where you're going to get all your information from OU. They will send you a link once you're accepted of all the steps you have to take. And so you're going to need to do all of that before you can enroll at OU. Their classes, they're going to offer a few classes over the summer, and then they're going to also offer them in the fall. Obviously, OU's classes are online. You're not driving down to Norman to take a class. So they will have a whole bunch of different classes online as well. Their fall schedule is not set yet. They hope to have that by the beginning of next week. Their summer schedule is set. It's just 5 or 6 classes. And when you go to that SHS Concurrent Agreement Google form that you're going to fill out, all of those classes are listed there for NOC, OSU, and OU. If there's a class not listed, we've only put in the ones that are like the Cowboy Concurrent or the OU classes or the really popular classes. But if there's something else that you want to take that's not listed, there's an other that you can just write that in, classes that you're interested in taking, and we can talk with you about that. On the concurrent agreement form is a link to all of the catalogs to those universities, so you can read about those classes and see what they're about and what they're like. The last thing I'm going to say is check your email every day. That's kind of our biggest thing that we've got going on. That's the way they're going to communicate. We're kind of drilling that to you all. Is there anything else that we need to cover? Do you have general questions? We will be happy to take them. If you have like really specific questions about your own student, we can always meet with you after. But if you have general concurrent questions, we'll be happy to take questions. Sure. The question was, would you talk about taking an AP class versus a concurrent class? And that is the million-dollar question. We get this question a lot, and especially if you're thinking about applying for competitive universities, we get this question a lot. I think you need to think about the situation that your student would feel most comfortable in. AP is a great opportunity for students. We have them take classes all the time, and they can take tests at the end into that AP class to earn college credit. We have said this year that like typically concurrent classes are a sure thing. You're typically going to pass them and get a C or above, but you're not assured of passing an AP test. Sometimes if you get, like for AP US History, if you get a 5 on the APUSH test, that can get you sometimes out of 2 classes of history, but for us, you're only taking 1, so you kind of have to weigh those options. Sometimes it's, you might have a concurrent class that's more interesting than our AP offerings, and you might want to take that instead, or our AP offerings aren't exactly what you want to do. But you might see some concurrent classes that are more kind of your style, things like that. So it's really a personal preference. College admissions officers say they want to see rigor, and so whether that's AP or concurrent, those are both rigorous, and so they would like to see that. If you don't do anything, not AP, not concurrent, that's not going to impress them. So did that help? We have students who do both. We have students who take AP classes and concurrent. They're involved in things. They take classes here. They do a whole mixture. Sure. A due date for summer, the best thing to do for summer classes would be to go ahead and get that application in ASAP. When Ms. Culling comes from the March 12th date, if you're looking at OSU, they are going to address summer concurrent there as well. If you're looking at NOC or OU, you're also going to want to get that application in earlier rather than later. They don't typically have due dates, but classes will fill. That is one reason we instituted an earlier deadline, is we had students rushing in at the end in August thinking they were going to take certain classes, and they were already full. Concurrent is very popular. You think about an online class and you're like, oh, there's like 100 spots in there. No, there's like 20 to 30. They don't have huge numbers of kids in those classes. Especially if you think you're going to do Comp 1 and Comp 2 for English 4, those classes are filling quickly. That is why we are really, really encouraging everyone to get their application in early. Students will physically enroll for OSU and OU kind of at the end of April. NOC is much sooner than that. You can kind of get going on that already. But early bird gets the worm. Like, get it in. If you know you're doing it, there is absolutely no reason to wait at all. Most for NOC, well, all of them, most of summer is online. So just think about that. So the question is, will the hours transfer? If students are thinking about staying in the state of Oklahoma, they have transfer agreements from one university to another. So typically, yes. Since you're taking, these are gen ed classes, you're not taking anything particularly unusual, they're going to transfer. If your student is thinking about going out of state or to a private university, you need to check those transfer requirements. Every university is different, very different. Some universities, and this is kind of a downfall, my son goes to a college that would accept no online classes to transfer, not a single one. And so we knew that going into it, and so he didn't do that situation. He only took in person. So you kind of have to know ahead of time what you're thinking about. So all of that information is online. So you can typically just type in like Vanderbilt transfer policy. It's going to pop up, and you can look and see what their requirements are for transfers. And it's complicated because it's different for every single one. And if you have questions, we can try to help you find where you need to go. The question is about taking Comp 1 and Comp 2 consecutively. We've had a student take it Comp 1 in the summer and then Comp 2 in the spring. As long as they get the credits in, that's fine. It'll freak the counselors out that they aren't doing it back to back, but we'll just have a conversation with them. Any other questions? I can see nothing because it's light. Oh, way in the back. I see waving. No, we do not. No in-person concurrent over the summer at Stillwater High School. Yes, we have students that do concurrent and Meridian all the time. In fact, sometimes we don't see students because they're at concurrent or Meridian, their senior year especially. And if you are going to be one of those students, please check your school email all the time because we don't see you all on a regular basis, and so that makes it difficult. Just make sure. But yeah, students do concurrent and Meridian all the time as long as they're meeting their graduation requirements. Oh, that is why, so they flip-flop how OSU classes are offered from fall to spring. So students have the classes that are offered in the morning in the fall are offered in the afternoon in the spring. So students have the opportunity to try to get as many in-person Stillwater High School concurrent classes that they can. Is there anybody else? Those are all great questions. We will, yes.
I know she had mentioned about the ACT and the math requirements that OSU has for their placement test. I don't know if I can light or not, but at NOC we do have the same 19 to get into college level courses. If you have below a 19, you can take just the individual subsection like the math only or an English only at NOC and try to place higher if you need to. And then we do not have a separate math placement. It only goes off your ACT scores. So I failed to mention that earlier, but I wanted to let you know about that.
I'm going to sneak in. Come on out, Kristen. One thing about the 19 is your student has to have a 19 on your sub-score on an ACT test. So, for example, if they want to take American history or psychology, they have to have a 19 in reading. That's a reading, those are reading heavy courses. If they want to take a science class, they have to have 19 in science. Sciences are hard. to match with our schedule. So really talk to your counselor if you think you want to take a science class online, because typically they have labs. You got to work that in your schedule.
I may have said this, but I just want to emphasize that OSU is a test optional university, so you do not need any ACT scores to apply for concurrent coursework. In your application, in your concurrent application, when it says, would you like to be considered test optional, you would just say yes. You want to be considered test optional, and that's where the admissions officer will look at your high school transcript and make a determination on your acceptance. So, yes? So every single class that you take concurrently is the exact same credit that an undergraduate student takes. So your course credits, they just are on your transcript exactly the same. You do have to apply as a freshman, but the admission requirements are the same. The differences on the concurrent application that you have to complete every semester is that you need the parent and counselor approvals. The freshman application does not have that. So that's the difference.
Okay, thank you. Our counselors will kind of be back in the back here after we're about to dismiss, and then if anybody has any specific questions, you can catch up with them. I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you, and we will send this to you. I know the print's a little bit small, but I'll send it to you so you can actually see it on your own screen. It'll be a little easier. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.